Welcome everyone to Jacksonville, Florida, outside Alltel Stadium, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and inside a matchup between two top 10 teams, the Georgia Bulldogs ranked number 10 and the Florida Gators ranked number 5. Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge along with Michelle Tafoya. Delighted to have you with us. They've been playing here in Jacksonville every year since 1933, with one exception during World War II when there was no game. One of the great rivalries in college football, this border war between Georgia and Florida that's underway. Brett Kerouac kicked off for Georgia. Florida won the toss and elected to receive, and John Capel got buried at the 16-yard line by J.R. Jenkins. A 13-yard return by Capel. Doug Johnson is the quarterback. Clearly number 1 this season until now, but his hold on the starting quarterback position shakier. Steve Spurrier indicating this week that if Johnson does not fare well, he would make a change to Jesse Palmer. A surprising statement given the numbers that you saw. Johnson statistically has had a good year. 3 wide receivers out to Johnson's right. Bo Carroll, the running back. The Dogs bring the blitz, and it's a screen to the speedy Carroll. Breaks a tackle and slides out to the 22 for a pickup of 6, where Boss Bailey, the leading tackler for the Georgia defense, made the stop. The rest of the offense around Doug Johnson. Rod Frazier has moved in as the starting fullback. Carroll the tailback. Travis Taylor returns. He was their leading receiver before injuring an ankle 4 games ago. And up front it's Pearson, Carlisle, Yarbrough, Blackshear, and Walker from left to right. And the Dogs up around the line of scrimmage on 2nd and 4. The inside handoff and whistle stop the action. A flag before the play. Doyle Jackson is the referee leading this SEC officiating crew.
Foul is a dead ball. Ball starts by the offensive line, 5 yards from the previous spot. Still second down.
And now the Georgia defense up front, the strength, the tackles, Marcus Stroud and Richard Seymour. Stroud returning after being sidelined with a knee injury. Kendrell Bell, the middle linebacker between Orontis Grant and Boss Bailey. And in the secondary, it's Robinson, Chambers, Mann, and Harris. They'll play a lot of nickel. Jamie Henderson. Tim Wansley will see plenty of action in the secondary as well.
Sean, I really think the key for Georgia is their defense setting a good tempo early. Last year they got behind 21-0 so quickly. The defense has to set the tempo today for Georgia in the first quarter.
They're showing blitz again. They come after Johnson. He dumps it off complete to the tight end Aaron Kay. And he has a first down out to the 29-yard line where Earl Chambers, the safety, chopped him down.
Good protection on the blitz, and watch Bo Carroll. Watch him pick off Kendrell Bell, the best blitzer for Georgia, right up the middle. Did a nice job picking him up, allowing Johnson to stay in there and find the tight end crossing the field. Georgia is going to attack. Kevin Ramsey came from Tennessee. It's attack, man-to-man, get after you. That time he was picked up by the Gators.
The shotgun, the high snap handle, the handoff to Carroll. A track All-American, one of the speediest men in the country. Out near another first down. He appears to have it at the 39-yard line, where Larry Mann and Richard Seymour made the tackle. A very important game in the SEC East. Florida still in control there by virtue of its victory over Tennessee. If the Gators win out, they're going to go to the SEC championship game against the West Division winner in Atlanta. But plenty of work to be done. This is the exact same scenario. The two teams coming into this game 2 years ago with identical situations, and Georgia upset Florida, and the Gators did not go to the championship game. A short pass dumped off to Alex Willis, the Jacksonville native, back in his hometown, collared by Jamie Henderson after a short gain out to the 42.
Sean, you mentioned that Doug Johnson, kind of Steve Spurrier saying we might go with Jesse Palmer. You look at his numbers, he's been productive, and he's led a very productive offense, but it's the decision making that Steve Spurrier is really harping on. He says he wants him to think through every play, and when you play for Steve Spurrier, you have to be prepared for constant coaching every game, every week, every day.
Well, particularly when you're the quarterback. They've had some testy exchanges, Johnson and Spurrier, in recent weeks on the sideline. Lots of running room for Carroll into Georgia territory with a first down to the 39-yard line where Kendrell Bell took down Carroll, the junior from Norristown, Pennsylvania, with a run of 19 yards.
Right now, good job mixing run and pass. They got Georgia outnumbered on this side. They ran the counter trap, pulled a couple linemen. Georgia had too many defenders on the front side to the wide side of the field. Good numbers that time by Florida. Got more blockers than there were defenders.
104-yard game against Auburn. That was 2 weeks ago, but the last game for the Gators. They're coming off a bye week. Georgia played last week at home against Kentucky, and the Bulldogs put on their best performance of the season in their win over the Wildcats. The fade throw to Darrell Jackson. He has it with another first down. He beat Corey Robinson in coverage. Out of bounds at the 21. Darrell Jackson really stepped up for Coach Spurrier when Travis Taylor was out with the ankle injury. He leads the SEC in receiving yards per game.
And this is the throw that Florida throws better than anybody in the country. The fade with the short split, giving the receiver a lot of room to work to the sideline. It's virtually undefendable if you throw it and catch it that way.
Look at junior from Tampa with a school record 5 straight 100-yard receiving games against SEC opponents, averaging 107 yards and receiving yards per game. Doug Johnson's 4 for 4, going to the end zone a little bit too high. His first incompletion was intended for Travis Taylor, and Jeff Harris provided the Georgia coverage.
Sean, I got a chance to talk to Darrell Jackson earlier in the week, and you know, he's really pleased with this season, obviously, but he just looked at it as it was a chance for him to take advantage of an opportunity. When Travis Taylor went down, he knew he had to step up, and he said, you know, last year Travis Taylor got an opportunity and he stepped up. I knew I had to do the same thing this year, and he has certainly had a great year in this offense.
And with Taylor back now, what a tandem Florida has. Steve Spurrier is still looking for others to emerge at wide receiver. He's not pleased with the depth of that group, but in Taylor and Jackson, he is 2 of the best. He has Bo Carroll running down to the 11-yard line. An impressive opening drive for Florida. Earl Chambers made the stop on Carroll. That's another first down for the Gators.
The key for Georgia is these two guys, Seymour and Stroud. Watch them get taken out of the play here. They both get forced outside. That's a big hole in there for Bo Carroll. For Georgia to have a chance defensively, those two guys, Seymour and Stroud, have to be able to change the line of scrimmage. That time they took themselves right out of the play.
Gators have been outstanding in the first quarter this season, and they're off to a quick start today. Johnson throws. Travis Taylor with a touchdown.
Steve Spurrier told us this week he thought his team was prepared to play their best, and they sure look it on this first series. Mix and run and pass. You've got man-on-man. Travis Taylor back from the injury against Jeff Harris. A lot of field to work with, no help inside, and a good throw from Doug Johnson.
Jeff Chandler on for the extra point. It's good. Steve Spurrier challenges quarterback to play better, and Doug Johnson was outstanding on the opening drive. 7-0 Gators. An impressive opening drive for Florida. 84 yards in 9 plays, and Doug Johnson 5 out of 6 on that drive. Now the focus shifts to Quincy Carter, the quarterback for Georgia, and as Jim Donnan, their coach, says, as he goes, so go the Dogs.
You know, I watch quarterbacks a lot, and if I had to put a team together right now, this is the guy that I would start with, Quincy Carter. 6'3", 225 pounds. He's a gifted runner and athlete, but also has great throwing mechanics, can really stand in the pocket and make plays, and he wants to be a great player. He works at it both physically and mentally. I think that's why he's as good as he is right now.
Good kickoff into a 14-mile-an-hour breeze by Jeff Chandler, and Patrick Pass runs it back all the way to the 30-yard line. Well, you mentioned it earlier. Jim Donnan said last year the game started at 3:30. Our team showed up about 4 o'clock and was 21-0. He doesn't want history to repeat itself today, and he hopes Carter can get them going quickly.
Well, he can do it now. I mean, this guy can run. He can stand in the pocket and throw. He has a nice short stride, good balance. And then because he's such a great athlete, he's hard to sack. He can escape and make plays down the field. But he can't do it by himself. He's got to get help from his wide receivers, and Jasper Sanks out of the backfield today.
Coming off a brilliant game against Kentucky last week as they piled up 49 points. The throwback screen. Terrence Edwards, their leading receiver, with a lot of running room, out of bounds at midfield. Chased out by Daryl Dixon. That's one true freshman pushing another out of bounds. They'll spot him out at the 49-yard line of Florida. A 22-yard gain.
Nice little misdirection play, an aggressive defense of Florida. They like to put pressure, roll one way, come back with the screen, and freshman John Stinchcomb got a nice block out there in front of Edwards. And that's what you need. You need one block, and there he is, John Stinchcomb, the freshman out of Lilburn, with a good block and a good first play for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Terrence Edwards, leading receiver for Georgia, entering today's action. Now with 35 catches. He's the younger brother of the former standout running back at Georgia, Robert Edwards. With a pitch to Patrick, pass to the 30. Out of bounds at the 3-yard line. There is a flag down on the play. Way back behind the line of scrimmage. 46 yards on the run, but will it stand?
Sean, Jim Donnan told us that they were going to probably run more option than Florida has seen, and seen them run. Offsides on Florida. The key to the option, come downhill at the option man, make him make a decision, and then play off of him. They're going to attack this defender right here. He takes the quarterback. There's nobody there for the pitch man. Very well executed by Georgia. Had a lead blocker in front. That was Sanks. Quincy Carter attacked the defender, got the ball to pass, and two big plays in a row for the Georgia offense. What a great way to answer for the Bulldogs.
Excellent downfield block on the play by the wide receiver, Michael Greer, number 36. First and goal. Georgia trying to respond quickly to the Florida score. They're at the 3-yard line of the Gators. Carter, touchdown.
Option again. Option again. They optioned 2 plays in a row, and they got the touchdown. What the option does for you, Sean, is 2 things. Number one, it takes a little bit of that pressure away from a Florida defense, makes them play a little bit more conservatively, and it keeps the ball in the hands of your most gifted runner, Quincy Carter. It lets him make decisions on the move.
Hap Hines, the senior from Marietta, Georgia, ties the game with the extra point. These are the top 2 offenses statistically in the SEC, and this one has the makings of a shootout. 7-7, less than 5 minutes in Jacksonville.
The Home Depot College Football on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot, Sun America, America Online, and by Chevrolet Trucks.
The Georgia offense, led by Quincy Carter, needed just 3 plays and 38 seconds to go 71 yards and tie the game. Second rushing touchdown of the season for Carter. Squib kick by Kerouac, taken off the grass by Bo Carroll, and they'll pick him up off the grass at the 23-yard line. 19-yard return. Terrell Bieria with the primary hit on special teams, and let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Sean, one of Jim Donnan's primary objectives coming into this game was to keep it close from beginning to end all the way into the 4th quarter. He says his team plays well in close games. Since 1997, the Georgia Bulldogs are 11-1 in games decided by 10 points or fewer. And Donnan said one of the things he didn't do with Quincy Carter last year that he wants to do this year is let him be aggressive and open it up from the start. Back to you.
And we've seen evidence of that already. Thank you, Michelle. Alex Willis, the motion man. Carroll pulled down behind the line of scrimmage by the true freshman Charles Grant, and you're likely to see a lot of him today. He's a starting defensive end. He also lines up in the offensive backfield in short yardage situations and plays on every special team.
Here he is. He is a tremendous athlete and just took a great angle chasing that play down from the backside. You're going to have to cut off that guy. I mean, when you find out how quick a guy is coming down the line, Charles Grant too quick to let unblocked. You're going to have to cut him off if you want to run the other way.
Last week against Kentucky, Grant had 3 sacks, and he also rushed 3 times for 44 yards, including a 42-yard touchdown run at 266 pounds. Darrell Jackson the reception, and the stiff arm to get away from Corey Robinson. Finally knocked out of bounds out at the 46-yard line. A 25-yard pass play. Johnson to Jackson.
Well, Robinson had 2 bad things happen to him on this play. Number 1, he's going to slip. Watch Robinson right here. He's going to slip when he tries to come out of his break. And then after that, he's going to get stiff-armed by Jackson and fall down. So 2 bad things happen to the corner, and a nice little throw and catch by the Gators. Again, the onus is on the Georgia defense to respond. The offense responded exceptionally well. The defense has to make an answer right now.
Be interesting to see how often Johnson changes plays today, given that Spurrier has criticized his decision-making at the line of scrimmage. That pass incomplete after an apparent change of play intended for Travis Taylor. We hope to complete this pass to Tim Brando.
A happy recipient here, Sean and Todd. Look at this. In Ames, Iowa, they're 0-11 lifetime against all Texas schools. Michael Brantley, a 34-yard catch from Sage Rosenfeld. Darren Davis takes it in from a yard out. We're tied at 41. Texas driving with under 2 minutes to play.
Wow, what a crazy game, college football. This same Texas defense that stuffed Nebraska. 41 points now to Iowa State today. Wow.
This season seems crazier than most.
It does.
Then a bunch of dogs up around the line. One-on-one coverage. Jackson pulled up. Johnson thought he was going deeper, and the pass was way over the head of Darrell Jackson. It'll be 3rd down and 10 in a 7-7 game, and a light rain has begun to fall here in Jacksonville. It wasn't really in the forecast. They were calling for just a 15% chance of showers.
This is what you have to do to Doug Johnson. You got to pressure him up the middle. Kendrell Bell got cut again by Bo Carroll, but stayed after it and was able to get into the legs of Doug Johnson and make him make a bad throw. You've got to pressure him up inside with your tackles and your middle linebacker.
6 for 9 now for Johnson. 5 wide receivers into the game. Florida best in the conference on 3rd down conversions. And that pass is incomplete. Darrell Jackson slipping down just as the ball arrived, and the ball hit the turf at the 36. It would have been a 3rd down conversion. Instead, it's 4th down, and the punting team comes on for the Gators.
It looked like Jackson lost his footing as he tried to slow down for this ball. The ball thrown maybe a hair behind him. Watch as he tries to adjust to the football. His feet go out from under him. Still a ball that he probably would make most times and should have made there.
I wonder if this light rain is enough to make the field a bit slick. Alan Ryan on the punt. Running into the breeze. It's a short kick. Michael Greer juggled it but held on as he hit the ground at the 26-yard line. A 29-yard punt by Ryan. 8.5 left in the first quarter. The Dogs and Gators tied at 7. 26-yard line. Tomorrow, the NFL on CBS rolls out regional action. Some of you will see a battle for the top of the AFC West when Junior Seau drives the Chargers into Elvis Gerback and the Chiefs, while Jimmy Johnson revs up the Dolphins against Tim Brown and the Raiders. It all begins with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines at noon Eastern Time. That's tomorrow right here on CBS. Today, it's Georgia and Florida. Bulldogs on offense. A short gain for Patrick pass. Keith Kelsey knocked him down at the 28-yard line.
Sean, Georgia has run 4 plays now on offense. 3 of them have been option. They said they were going to run it more, and what it does is it makes you conscious. Now, right now, this is who you option. This is the guy Quincy Carter is going to pitch off of it. That guy takes the quarterback. Now, it's assignment football. Somebody has to take the pitch man. You've got 2 defenders there. They both overrun the pitch, and it turns into a big play. Now Florida has to be conscious of the option the rest of the day. They've shown it enough to make John Hoke respect it and plan accordingly.
Substitution infraction against Georgia. Well, the Gators were prepared for the option. They spent practice time every day this week getting ready for the Georgia option attack.
And John Hoke, I mean, the beauty for him, he came from Missouri, so he saw it every day on the practice field with his own team. In the Big 12, the two best teams, Kansas State and Nebraska, you better be able to defend the option. Plus, they had the off week, so they actually had 2 weeks to prepare for the option. So far, though, Georgia has fooled them a little bit in this opening period.
On 2nd and 14, pressure from Alex Brown. The pass caught by Michael Greer. And he's down, and a late hit perhaps as a flag comes flying down. Todd Johnson made the first tackle. Well, then there seemed to be a late hit. And when Florida has struggled this season, it's been turnovers and penalties, and a lot of the penalties have been of the undisciplined variety like this one.
Yeah, Andre Davis is the guy who's going to get tagged. Alex Brown came in there first, but Davis was the guy who led with the headgear, and that's where the penalty came. You want your defense to play aggressive, to fly around and go to the football, but there comes a point where they have to be smart as well, and that was not a smart play by Andre Davis.
And he has been one of their steadiest defensive players this year. John Hoke singing his praises yesterday when we spoke with the Florida defensive coordinator. Steve Spurrier pleased with the improvement in terms of the lack of turnovers and penalties in their last outing against Auburn. They played a relatively clean game up at Auburn and posting a 32-14 victory in their last outing 2 weeks ago. Midway through the first quarter, 7-7 the score. On 1st and 10, Carter puts it up for grabs, and it is almost caught on the ricochet by Edwards. Robert Cromartie had the best shot at it, but he couldn't pick the pass off. And then Edwards had his hands on it and nearly had a completion inside the 40-yard line.
Very dangerous throw by Quincy Carter. You don't see him do this very often. He threw that one up for grabs, and Cromartie should have made the play. Again, you just don't see Quincy Carter make many throws like that. He's a very good decision maker. He's only thrown 3 interceptions this year. Got very lucky there. That one wasn't picked off.
That's another reason the coaches wanted to stay close early, because they said when they get behind, Carter tends to take a little bit too much upon himself, try to do too much. Quarterback draw yields nothing. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Derek Chambers and Eugene McCaslin combining on the stop. The action so fast and furious we haven't had a chance to set the offense. Sanks and pass in the backfield. Edwards and Parker the starting receivers. Johnson, one of 2 tight ends, will see plenty of action. And up front, an inexperienced right side of the line. They're 2 highly recruited and very talented players, Breedlove and Stinchcomb, but they're still learning as they go along. Down. Carter with a lot of time, and it is incomplete. Edwards was open. The pass was errant, and Marquand Manuel had Edwards lined up. That'd been a catch. Manuel was ready to deliver a big hit to Edwards. Here's the Florida defense that just held. Chambers, Gurley, Warren, and Brown up front. Brown, one of the best pass rushers in the nation. Davis with McCaslin and Kelsey, the linebackers. And the revamped secondary from earlier in the year, Darrell Dixon, the true freshman, has moved in at safety in recent weeks to join Alexander, Manuel, and Cromartie. There's Jonathan Kilgo, the freshman punter. And Bo Carroll waiting for the kick at the 18. Never got it up into that breeze that is helping Kilgo. Line drive that spins out of bounds at the 28-yard line. A 32-yard punt. Our aerial views are courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Overhead is Goodyear's Stars and Stripes, continuing a 75-year tradition as the aerial ambassador and icon of the 100-year-old company. And a tough day up in that blimp today with the rain now falling.
Tough day,
and it's a pretty gusty breeze as well.
It's getting tough in the booth too.
Yes, it is. That rain is coming straight into our booth.
You know, and that's getting tougher on the field too. As a quarterback, as a kicker, all those guys that handle the football got to pay a little extra attention now in ball security as it's starting to get a little wet.
This rain is a surprise to the forecasters. They're trying to execute a reverse. The ball juggled all the way along. It finally got to Rashae Caldwell, and it's a gain of just a yard at best. Demetric Evans banged him down.
Kind of a difficult play to execute on a wet day as you watch the exchange between Carroll and Caldwell. Carroll very lucky that he even maintained control to get the ball. That play blew up just because the timing was disrupted by the bad ball handling there in the backfield.
That reminds me a lot of our CBS production crew on the Friday night dinners when the check comes. The way they handled the ball was the way the check usually gets passed around at our table.
When the music stops, who's ever holding it?
2nd and 8. Johnson's pass batted down by Tyrone Robertson, the redshirt freshman. So you're going to hear a lot of that today. Redshirt freshman, true freshman. It's a very young Georgia team, and I think they're a little bit ahead of schedule, Todd, with a 6-1 record given the youth and inexperience on this Bulldog squad.
Well, they list out of their top 60 players, only 8 are seniors. So this is a very young, athletic, and talented team whose best days of football are ahead of them, no question.
Johnson 0 for his last 4 after 5 for 6 on the opening drive. 3rd down and 8. And Florida from its own 30.
The defense is playing with a higher level of intensity. After they held the last series, the offense got them scored, tied the score. Defense is flying around right now for Georgia.
Play clock at 1 as Johnson takes the snap. Here comes the blitz. He got it off. It's dropped by Travis Taylor. Johnson was dropped by Earl Chambers, who came on the safety blitz.
This is a sell the farm blitz, no free safety, and so here he is, Chambers coming on the blitz. He's going to be unblocked. You just can't block that many guys. He gets there in time to force Johnson to throw behind his intended receiver, Taylor. Kevin Ramsey, defensive coordinator, saying this is the way that I like to play. This is the way we're going to play at Georgia. So far, it's working all right.
Ryan again putting into the breeze, and this is another short, low kick. Took a good bounce for Florida and went out of bounds at the 37-yard line of Georgia. The 33-yarder for Ryan, a junior walk-on who spent some time as an infielder on the Gator baseball team. His dad, Jack, was once the head baseball coach at the University of Florida back in the early 80s. As always, in attendance. This is considered a neutral site. The tickets every year distributed evenly between the two teams, about 40,000 for each school. A toss to Jasper Sanks, and a late flag comes in as Sanks went down at the 40-yard line. It's a holding call against Georgia. Doyle Jackson conferring with Andre Davis. The play stopped for a very short gain. He wants to know if they want the penalty. It does appear they'll take it. Send the Dogs back inside the 30.
By the offense, 10-yard spot, 10-yard foul from the spot of the foul. Still first down.
Sounds like Doyle Jackson's mic's getting a little soggy here in this unexpected rain. Georgia spreads the field. 4 receivers move away from the line, and an offensive lineman moved away too soon. Jonas Jennings, the tackle, came up out of his stance, and the retreat continues for the Bulldogs.
Well, Alex Brown has not put up the same kind of numbers as he did earlier in the season, and particularly the Tennessee game, but he is still a threat to rush the passer, and he was lined up over Jonas Jennings that time, and Jonas a little eager to get out of his stance. You know the guy can rush the quarterback, and so you're going to be aware of him. Here he is, right there's Alex, and watch Jonas just a little early getting out of the stance.
And John Hope made the point about Alex Brown. The stats would say perhaps he's not playing as well, but the coaches told us a lot of it is because they're using him sometimes in coverage. They run a lot of zone blitzes. They can drop him away from the line of scrimmage. Quincy Carter on first and long throws, dropped by Jermaine Phillips. Let's get an update on that Texas-Iowa State game. Here's Tim.
Sean and Todd, this is a game that Iowa State absolutely should have won. They fumbled one into the end zone off a kickoff. They lose it on the final play of the game as Chris Stockton puts it in. 44-41. Look at the standings in the Big 12 South. Texas Tech currently losing to Missouri in the second half, 20-7. Texas right now in the driver's seat as we watch the BCS blow up in front of our faces.
Well, that's one. If you're Mac Brown, you're just happy to get on the bus and go home. Take a win any way you can. Get on the bus and go home.
After the big win over Nebraska, perhaps an emotional letdown, although Iowa State's a much better team this year. Jasper Sanks on second and forever. Danced for a few before Andre Davis took him down. The polls are open. We invite you to vote on the game of the century in the CBS Sportsline College Football Millennium Poll. Just click on NCAA football at cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline.
We talked a lot about Quincy Carter and his physical ability and his approach to the game. The next step for him to take is to lead his team to victory in one of the 3 games they have to win every year. Florida, Tennessee, or Georgia Tech. He's still looking for his first win in one of those ball games.
Designed running play for Carter on 3rd down and long. Then he got out to the 36. Better field position from which to punt. Todd Johnson made the tackle. And that's really the key. Georgia has really turned it around under Jim Donnan. They've won 26 of their last 32 games. But they don't have a win over Tennessee, and they have just the 1 victory over Florida.
Quincy Carter is a guy who can make a lot of things happen, throwing and running. Little safe call here with the weather by Jim Donnan. Hunt the football. Now the special teams for Georgia have not been particularly good. They cannot afford a letdown in the kicking game today.
Kilgo again can't get it up into the breeze. Line drive punt handled by Bo Carroll. They did have good coverage downfield. And Carroll ran it back to the 32-yard line, where Terrell Vieira made the tackle. Tonight on CBS, when nuclear warheads show up on the black market, Samo and Arsenio head deep undercover. You won't believe what they tried. Get them back. An all-new martial law tonight on CBS.
Samo's a bad dude.
He is. 3:18 left in the first quarter. Each team scored at its first possession, and the weather turned nasty. The play calling's been a bit more conservative, and neither team has scored. Robert Gillespie on 1st and 10, brought down by Boss Bailey, the younger brother of Champ Bailey and Ronald Bailey, 2 former defensive backs for Georgia. Champ now in the NFL with the Redskins is a 1st-round pick. Boss is a sophomore and following in the footsteps very well as the leading tackler for the season for Georgia coming in.
First year as a starter. Kevin Ramsey says he's getting better each game. You know, his best football's ahead of him. Didn't start out the season particularly strong, but again, he's one of those guys that he's seeing more each week, each game, and getting better each game.
Johnson again appears to be changing the play. Steve Spurrier said he wasn't sure if Johnson would be reluctant to do that. After Spurrier publicly questioned his decision-making, that one apparently an excellent decision as the strike fired and completed to Darrell Jackson. Big gain of 39 all the way to the Georgia 24-yard line where Jeff Harris made the tackle.
Well, what Doug Johnson saw was he had single coverage with his main guy, and he saw the free safety way over here. So he runs the post. He knows the safety can't get there to help. It's a lot of open field in the middle of the football field. The safety out of position to make a play. Larry Mann, good read by Doug Johnson, checking to the right player.
Already 82 yards receiving in the first quarter for Jackson. Apparently well on his way to another 100-yard game.
Fullback.
It is the fullback, and Richard Seymour was not fooled. Robert Gillespie took the handoff and was taken down by Seymour for a loss of 1.
And we've covered the Gators for a few weeks, and I've seen them practice this every Thursday. It's just it's a little trick play. It's kind of a, you know, you can't do the fumble-rooski anymore where you put the ball on the ground, but that's Steve's version of it now with the new rules, and Georgia was ready for it that time.
These two coaches have a lot in common. Jim Donnan and Steve Spurrier, both 54 years old. Both played quarterback with great distinction in college. Both kicked as well. There's the same play. Well, Steve can be a little stubborn sometimes, too. I think they both have that in common as well. But they weren't fooled this time either. This time, Boss Bailey came in to help Richard Seymour.
See, what you do is you try to fool them thinking you've moved your backs up to help with protection. But Georgia right there, Richard Seymour, not fooled at all. Steve's like, doggone it, this play's supposed to work. We called it, we worked on it. Got the right defensive look, it should work. 2 times in a row, it did not.
Under a minute left in the first quarter in a 7-7 game from the Georgia 29. Third down and 15. They rely on the running ability of Alex Willis. And he's out of bounds short of a first down. He did gain 11. And we'll see if under these conditions, with the rain coming down steadily and into the breeze, Steve Spurrier elects for the field goal try, and he will.
Jeff Chandler has been very strong this year, 13 of 14. The only miss, a 41-yarder against Alabama.
And he has never missed in his career in a field goal try of less than 40 yards. 20 for 20 in his career inside 40. This will be a 35-yard try. Willie Young, the holder. Michael Youngkin, the snapper, and a flag down. And it's 4th and 4, so that's against Georgia. It'll be a first down. But it's not. They're talking to the Bulldogs.
It looked like movement up front.
And you wouldn't think there'd be much need for discussion if that's the call against Florida. Why wouldn't you back him up?
Yeah, put a little more pressure on him.
Foul is a dead ball. False start. Movement on the offensive line. 5 yards from the previous spot. Still 4th down.
Jim Donan's defense held again. You know, you talk about the red zone for Florida, and they have not been able to execute in the red zone the way they were accustomed to executing. Jeff Chandler in their last game against Auburn, 4 field goals in the first half. They were down in there a lot, couldn't score touchdowns. And
they're only 5 yards, but it might make a difference into this breeze. Chandler, good, from 40 yards out. And with 35 seconds left in the first quarter in rainy Jacksonville, Florida reclaims the lead. It's 10-7 Gators. (10-7) Florida in the final minute of the first quarter.
Doug Johnson, you know, there was so much talk about the quarterback position these last couple weeks, and you know, he started this game against Georgia last year, hit 11 of his first 13, played really well in the first half, and you know, you wonder how much of that Steve Spurrier was doing just to fire up his quarterback. And again, you've got to expect as a quarterback at Florida to be coached every single day. Steve Spurrier wants you to get better every single day. Doug Johnson has answered that challenge today, I think.
Good kick by Chandler. This is Brett Milliken running it back. And he's tripped up just shy of the 20-yard line. Benny Alexander made the tackle on kickoff coverage. A run back of 17 for the junior Brett Milliken.
Go back to the big pass in that field goal drive, and the timing of the Florida offense, their passing game, is what impresses me. Doug Johnson, no wasted steps. He looks off the free safety, and on his 5th step gets the football down the field to Jackson. They work on their timing and their passing game, just thrown against air, better than anybody that I've seen in college football.
That was the big play in the 6-play 45-yard drive that set up the 40-yard go-ahead field goal by Jeff Chandler. The fake by Carter, and then he throws incomplete at the feet of Patrick Pass.
They tried to fake the screen outside and slip the tight end down the field, and it was well defended by Florida, and then Quincy just had to throw the football away. But if you're going to throw the football away, don't throw it in the field of play. Throw that thing up in the seats.
We mentioned the similarities between the two coaches. Each serves as his own offensive coordinator. They both like the razzle-dazzle. They're going into the bag of tricks as regularly as any coaches in the country. He's not afraid to say what's on his mind. Two of the most candid coaches in college football. This is Patrick Pass on the draw on 2nd and 10. He pushes the ball out to the 24. And it'll be 3rd down and 5 when the second quarter begins. That'll be the final play of the first quarter. The score, Florida 10 and Georgia 7. We'll return to Jacksonville right after this message and a word from your local station. Start of the second quarter in Jacksonville, where Florida leads Georgia 10-7. Gators have dominated this rivalry in the 90s, winning 8 of the last 9 meetings. On third down, Quincy Carter converts the first down on the completion of the backup tight end, Randy McMichael. Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge, Michelle Tafoya here in rainy Jacksonville. This was an unexpected heavy rain and just a slight chance in the forecast of a brief shower. But how does this rain affect these two teams?
Well, I think it affects them. I think both teams are going to have to maybe run the football a little more than they thought they might coming into the ball game. Both teams average over 170 yards a game rushing, so that shouldn't be too big of a problem. And the kicking game, fielding the punts, catching the punt snaps, all of those things become much more important now.
The play fake by Carter, and he runs out of bounds, and they want a late hit, and they're going to get that call on the Georgia sideline. Keith Kelsey apparently hit him way out of bounds, and that's a couple of late hits for Florida. And Steve Spurrier's seen this time and time again from his undisciplined team.
No, you just can't do that. Even though it wasn't a big hit, it was 5 yards out of bounds, and it was on the Georgia sideline. I mean, Keith Kelsey just has to pull off of that. The play's over. It's a short gain. Don't give him extra yardage. And it wasn't a violent hit, but it's just unnecessary.
It's a dead ball. Personal foul, late hit out of bounds by the defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, followed by first down.
Well, Kelsey's a player who has been fighting to retain his starting position. When they pondered major changes a couple of weeks ago, he was one of those they thought about taking out of the starting lineup. He barely held on to his job. Plays like that won't help him keep it long term. From midfield with Jasper Sanks, the lone back behind Quincy Carter. Two tight ends in the ball game. A pass deflected by Alex Brown, and it is incomplete. Marquand Manuel had a great shot at it, but didn't intercept it.
But a great job by Terrence Edwards, too, turning into a defensive back, because he knew he couldn't make the play, but he turned into a defensive back and came in and knocked down the interception. Alex Brown is the guy who's going to get his hand on the ball, does a nice job keeping the blocker off his feet. Now watch Edwards come in at the end and strip the ball away from the defender, Manuel. Nice job by Terrence Edwards, quickly turning from offense to defense.
He's used to position changes. Last year in high school, Terrence Edwards was a quarterback, but they did recruit him with the thought he'd be a wide receiver in college, and he is. The pass incomplete. Carter looking for Michael Greer running down the hash mark. Carter took a pop from Teddy Sims.
Florida came with a blitz from Carter's left side coming right at him. You can only pick up one. They picked up McCaslin. They couldn't pick up Sims. And that's a good hit on Quincy Carter. You don't get the sack, you don't get an interception, but you inflict a little pain on the opponent's quarterback.
Carter off to a slow start. As Jim Donnan said, as he goes, so go the Bulldogs. Third down and 10. Carter throws a wobbly pass, but it is caught for a first down by Randy McMichael, the tight end, all the way to the 28-yard line with a pickup of 22.
Boy, it's nice to have a big tight end like this, and Georgia has two of them in Johnson and McMichael. Here's McMichael in the slot. Big, tall target running down the seam. Watch him go up in the air and catch the football with his hands. Two defenders there to make the play, but he went up in the air and got the football.
Two catches for 29 yards for McMichael. The tight end, a very important part of the Jim Donnan offense. Jasper Sanks. Down to the 24-yard line. Time now for our Sun America virtual playbook.
Well, ever since the Alabama game, Florida has become much more aggressive, a lot more pressure on defense. And what they do is they like to bring more guys to one side than you can block. They try to get a mismatch, 4-on-3. On the other side, you got more blockers. They don't have to play sell the farm defense. They can still keep a free safety in the middle, play man or zone. But the idea is to bring more guys to one side than you can block.
Second down and 6. Sanks close to another first down inside the 20. Looks to be a half yard short of the first down. Alex Brown again in on the stop of Sanks. Jasper's a sophomore from Columbus, Georgia, very highly recruited out of high school. In fact, he was a Parade and USA Today All-American first teamer. Carver High School, rushed for more than 5,000 yards in his career. Didn't make the test score, so went to Fork Union Military Academy for 1 year, and he admitted last year wasn't in great shape, but this year he got up in the summer every day at 6:30 in the morning, had his own little mini triathlon, dropped about 14 pounds. He's been much more effective. Quincy Carter, the keeper, on 3rd and short. He didn't get it. Stop for no gain by Gerard Warren and Andre Davis.
Sean, I don't know what happened on this play, but it did not look like a good quarterback sneak. I don't know if there was a problem with the center exchange, but actually it was just the quick pressure over the top by Andre Davis. Got in there and came across and hit Quincy Carter before he even had a chance to start into the sneak.
4th down and 1. Leron Haynes in at fullback, leading the way for Sanks, and he struggles for the first down. It would have been close had it not been for that lunge at the end. Andre Davis again made the tackle, and Jim Donnan's team moves the chains.
Good first down for Georgia. You know, looking at Sanks down on the field, he is really thick. I know he had a weight problem last year, and he's trimmed down. He's in a lot better shape, but he is still very thick as a runner. And he gets those shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, and good leg turn, and keeps fighting for the first down. A difficult guy to tackle because he is a powerful runner.
Now weighs about 226 pounds. 3rd in the SEC in rushing yards. Alexander leading the way. Carter on the option. We haven't seen as much of that lately, Todd. I was just going to ask you that before the play. You think it's because of the rain? It's a little riskier to be pitching that ball around into these positions.
It is a little riskier, and also you ran it enough early to make Florida defend it and make their adjustments. But I was just about to say they were due to run an option there. I expected to see Georgia run an option in that situation. It still is a threat because Quincy Carter, when he keeps the football, he is the most gifted runner that Georgia has. Sanks is a power runner, but this guy is the most gifted runner that Georgia has.
Thirteenth play of the drive for Georgia. They started at their own 19. Carter has a hole, has a touchdown.
Georgia showed pass on this. They had a lot of wide receivers. He comes down the line. You don't have to pitch the ball when the quarterback can run like this. He cuts it inside. Again, Florida overruns the play, and Steve Spurrier knows Quincy Carter can beat you in a lot of ways.
Georgia leads for the first time, and that lead is 4 points as Hap Hines added the extra point. A 16-yard touchdown run by Quincy Carter. He scored both touchdowns today for the Bulldogs. Quincy Carter with a second rushing touchdown of the game. He has given Georgia a 4-point lead. Brett Kerouac's kickoff down to John Capel. And his run back is out to the 28-yard line. 23 yards on the return for Capel, the sophomore from Brooksville, Florida.
2 blocks to watch on the touchdown. Randy McMichael out here, the tight end, and Jonas Jennings, the tackle. Watch both these guys get a block as Quincy Carter turns it upfield on the option. He's got a clear lane to the end zone. A couple Gators overrun the play, but 2 good blocks sealed that corner for Quincy Carter. Another timely option by Jim Donnan.
And an 81-yard drive, 13 plays. It took 4 minutes and 48 seconds, and that's another key. You want to keep that Florida offense off the field. That was the key in the victory for Alabama over the Gators, as Alabama had 41 minutes in time of possession. Johnson throws to Darrell Jackson. He's driven back after a gain out near the 36-yard line. Hit by Tim Wansley. You mentioned the situation this year almost identical to 1997 when Florida was again in the driver's seat in the SEC East. Robert Edwards scored 4 touchdowns, rushed for 124 yards to lead Georgia to the upset, 37-17. Florida bounced back last year with a 37-7 win. Of course, last year the Gators had already lost to Tennessee, and the Vols went through the entire season undefeated on their way to the SEC title and the national championship. Bo Carroll ridden down by Richard Seymour. Loss on the play back to the 33.
Tough to run that play against that defense. This is the old Bear defense, a 46 defense. You got 8 defenders around the line of scrimmage. There's just too many guys to block in there. Florida can't block them all. Kevin Ramsey going to the 8-man front. Tough to run the football against the 8-man front.
The Bulldog fans making the noise at the moment. The defense is encouraging those cheers. Third down and 4. Bo Carroll stopped short of the first down. Charles Grant wouldn't let him go. Kendrell Bell also in on the play for Georgia.
That's the difference between a Bo Carroll and an injured Ernest Graham. Bo Carroll weighs 165 pounds. He just didn't have enough behind him to kind of carry that tackler forward for a first down. Ernest Graham, more of a powerful runner, probably could have got that first down.
And it looks like Steve Spurrier's going to go for it on 4th down and 2 at his own 36-yard line.
May just try to draw him off sides with the snap count by the quarterback.
Johnson Keats has the first down and more. Rare carry by Johnson, and that did surprise the Bulldogs at a big risk. It was officially 4th down and 1, but it was closer to 2 yards, and they convert out to the 44.
Risky call, but Doug Johnson knew Kendrell Bell was up over the center. The middle linebacker took himself out of the play because he was going to blitz to the other side, and Doug Johnson knew right where to go with that quarterback sneak, and then went right down to the ground. Good call by Steve Spurrier. Go away from the middle linebacker. Let him commit one way, run the quarterback sneak the other way.
Gators at their own 44. Nearly midway through the second quarter. Georgia leads 14-10. Johnson throws, and it is almost intercepted by Jamie Henderson. The pass intended for Darrell Jackson, but Henderson was in front of Jackson. And Jamie almost had his 6th interception of the season. The 2 quarterbacks, Henderson and Robinson, have 5 pickoffs each for Georgia.
Well, we saw Terrence Edwards of Georgia turn from offense to defense. Darrell Jackson does the same thing as he realizes that he's not going to get the football and Henderson has a better shot. Darrell Jackson keeps his hands in there, keeps one hand on the jersey as well, but fights for the football. That's what you want your wide receiver to do. If he can't make the catch, just keep fighting. Don't give up an easy INT.
Out of the shotgun on 2nd and 10. The screen for Bo Carroll. Cuts back inside at the 45. Bounced off a couple tackles. He takes a late hit. And that'll give Florida first down inside the 35-yard line by the time they assess the penalty. Orontis Grant made the first hit. Looked like Kendrell Bell was late.
Well, this is first of all a job of poor tackling by Georgia because they're in position to make this a very short game. There's one missed tackle. Here comes another one by Henderson. A 3rd missed tackle. 4. And then the late hit at the end. So 4 missed tackles followed by a personal foul penalty. Bad job of defense that time by the Bulldogs.
I think one of the many areas in which the Southeastern Conference officials excel is in being very consistent in calling that late hit. We've seen that on both sides today.
You get a lot of aggressive defenses in this conference, and sometimes you know, that's great between the whistles, but when you take it a little bit too far, you got to make that call, and you're right, they do stay on top of that one pretty well.
Back and forth game. Florida's twice had the lead. They were tied at 7 for a while. Now it's Georgia on top with Florida on the move. Johnson throws short. Alex Willis down at the 31. That play yielded 3. Kendrell Bell made the stop with help from Tim Wansley. Mentioned the similarities in the coaches. Many similarities between these quarterbacks, including the fact that both were high draft choices in Major League Baseball. Johnson by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in the 2nd round. Quincy Carter by the Chicago Cubs in the 2nd round. Both played minor league baseball without distinction. Both had trouble hitting.
Yeah. Hitting the deuce.
Yeah, both hit around 200 in their minor league careers. Here's Gillespie on the delay. Collared by Richard Seymour. They're building up Seymour as an All-American candidate, and off what we've seen today, he's worthy of that recognition.
Yeah, he is really a great player. Here he is inside. He just fights through it. He fights off the block, chases it down the line, and pulls him down by the back of his jersey. You know, when Marcus Stroud went out with the injury, he really had to kind of take control over there, playing with a lot of younger guys. But now he's got his sidekick Stroud back. But Seymour, he's a real load in there on the inside.
3rd down and 4. The fullback came up close, Rod Frazier, to hear the play, and then he decided they needed a timeout. CBS Sports coverage of the Home Depot College football will continue after this word from your local station. Georgia leads by 4, but Florida on the move. At the Georgia 28-yard line, 3rd down and 4. They haven't converted a 3rd down today. Here comes the blitz. They throw the screen. Eric Kinney to tight end. Inside the 10 and down inside the 5-yard line. Tim Wansley and Larry Mann save the touchdown. Well, that's a gain of 26, and Doug Johnson is limping as he gets up.
You get so concerned with the wide receivers of Florida, it's very easy to forget the tight end. Watch him as he comes across the field. The linebackers are so conscious of the crossing wide receivers, they forget about the tight end, and the free safety man has to make the tackle. Here's the end of the play. Arantes Grant right down around the ankle of Doug Johnson, and he came up limping, but he's still in the ball game now.
The pitch to Gillespie. Great move and a touchdown. Terrific job by Gillespie when it looked like he'd be dropped for a loss.
Well, you talked about it, a great move. This is the play that set up the touchdown. Aaron Kinney's catch on the big 3rd down play.
And here's Jeff Chandler after the Gillespie touchdown. Roberts' 8th rushing touchdown. Trouble with the snap as Billy Young couldn't get a grasp on it. And Florida does not convert. That could be a big miss. Now a 2-point lead for the Gators.
Let's go back to the touchdown run by Gillespie. Sean, you called it a great move on a wet field. The defense has a tendency to overrun the play. Watch right there, just a great stutter move. Just kind of hesitate, let the defender come upfield, and then get it into the end zone.
Here's the missed extra point. Looked like a good snap, but that ball is slippery, and Billy Young couldn't handle it. Gators by 2 with 5:52 left in the first half. Impressive drives in this game by both offenses. The Florida drive to take the lead, 10 plays, 72 yards, 4 minutes, 55 seconds. Jesse Palmer now warming up, so you wonder if Doug Johnson was injured on that play just before the touchdown when he was slow to get up and limping when he did get up. The kickoff by Chandler down to the back of the end zone by Brett Milliken. Monday on CBS. How do you enjoy a romantic weekend getaway when your best friend is next door and the walls are paper thin? Find out on an all-new King of Queens Monday on CBS. First and 10, Georgia. The pitch to Jasper Saints. He picks his way ahead for 3 out to the 23-yard line. Saints had 3 straight 100-yard rushing games earlier this season against Central Florida, South Carolina, and LSU. First Georgia running back to run for 100 yards or more in 3 straight games since Garrison Hurst in 1992.
Banged up
In 1992.
Banged up his shoulder a little bit in the Vanderbilt game. Looks to be 100% now, and he's that big back that they need in this offense.
Moving along the line, the tight end, Javaris Johnson, took off a little early.
I think the other tight end, McMichael, may have pushed him out of his stance. They had two tight ends in that formation, and McMichael was the motion tight end. Kind of put his hands on Javaris's back and gave him a little shove. You know, both Jasper Sanks and Jamal Lewis, the great Tennessee running back, very highly recruited high school running backs out of the Atlanta area. Douglas High School, Jamal Lewis, Carver High School for Jasper Sanks. And both schools, Tennessee and Georgia, were actually recruiting both of them. And Georgia really keyed in on Jasper Sanks. And when they got him, Jamal went to Tennessee. And they both, Jamal, I guess, has had probably the better career to this point. But Jasper Sanks having a much better year this year than last.
Carter escapes the rush, and he'll take off. First down, out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Alex Brown hit him after a gain of 19.
This is what makes him so dangerous, Sean, is his ability to just pull it down and run when he doesn't see what he likes. He doesn't see anything downfield. He feels the pressure from the outside from McCaslin. He is a very difficult guy to tackle, not just because he's quick and elusive, but because he's 225 pounds. He's a big physical guy, very difficult to sack or to tackle.
Patrick Pass limping off.
He's had a bad ankle. You can see that right ankle is all taped up, and he's been battling with that ankle injury all season.
He has not been fortunate in terms of health. Last year, bothered by turf toe a lot of the year. This year, the sprained ankle early, and Jim Donnan told us during the week that Pass was just starting to get his speed back in recent days. Now another apparent leg injury. Meanwhile, Quincy Carter has rushed for 53 yards on 8 carries and has scored 2 rushing touchdowns.
He led the team in rushing last week in their win, 87 yards, well on the way this week.
Brown pursuing from the backside. Carter throws across his body, incomplete. They're looking for Jermaine Phillips.
Quincy Carter's pass is complete. 2nd and 10.
He's such an elusive guy, Sean. I mean, he really is a gifted runner. You know, when he puts the ball under his arm and takes off downfield, and also just the ability to avoid sacks. You talk about we got to protect Quincy Carter. Well, Quincy Carter can protect himself pretty well too, because he can get away from pressure. Alex Brown, he can chase down most quarterbacks. Couldn't get to Quincy Carter on that play.
I think particularly impressive what Carter has done, given that the rest of the skilled people in the offense really have not emerged yet. They have people with impressive resumes in high school like Sanks and Pass. They have a very young receiving corps. Carter throws much too high, looking for Thad Parker. It'll be 3rd down and 10 with 4:25 left in the first half. Then it's the AXA halftime report. Tim and Spencer bringing you update on all the scores and highlights. And they'll talk to Virginia Tech head coach Frank Beamer about his unbeaten Hokies. How they might just get shut out of the national championship by the BCS. That's all coming up on the AXA halftime report. We're going to see Virginia Tech here on CBS next Saturday in Morgantown against the West Virginia Mountaineers. We're looking forward to that.
Good football team. Play great defense, great special teams, and this year with Michael Vick, they're playing pretty good offense too.
3rd down and 10. Carter to the far sideline. Another high throw for Jermaine Phillips. Marquand Manuel in coverage. A couple of throws in that sequence that got away from Carter.
We saw one mishandled snap already in the kicking game with the wet ball on the extra point by Florida. Seen a couple high snaps by the Georgia long snapper so far in this ball game. Doug Davis, the long snapper. And again, it is something you just have to really bear down on in the kicking game with a wet football.
Kilgo punting into the breeze for the first time. He pulled that one to the left. Out of bounds right at the 30-yard line. A 33-yard punt by Kilgo. Welcome back to Alltel Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida, the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars of the National Football League, and every year the site of the Georgia-Florida battle. Florida leads this one by 2 with 4:13 left in the first half, and the Gators begin this possession from their own 30. Johnson has the tight end open, and what a catch made in the fingertips of Aaron Kinney, the tight end to the 46-yard line of the Bulldogs.
Aaron Kinney has been a real weapon for the Gators today. This is an outstanding catch. A wet day, a wet football, and Kinney catching the ball with his fingertips. Here's Kinney right here. Take a look as Doug Johnson looks left. Good protection, and then watch the catch by Kinney with his fingertips. Well, you don't see many tight ends making catches like that, particularly on a day like this.
He's a fine athlete. He played on the Florida basketball team back in '96-'97. Kinney, now a senior from Ashland, Virginia. 3 catches today for 62 yards. That one went for 24. He entered today's game with just 9 receptions for the year. Here comes the blitz, and Johnson is down back at the 40-yard line. The first sack of the day for the Bulldogs, delivered by Will Witherspoon and Boss Bailey.
Florida looked like they had some confusion on this particular play. They had a man in motion. They were looking like they were checking. The pressure's going to come right from here. And they pick up one of the blitzers, but they can't pick up Witherspoon. And he comes inside and gets to Doug Johnson. Timely blitz that time called by Kevin Ramsey.
The first 6 games of the season, 12 sacks combined. They averaged 2 per game. Then they had 11 against Hal Mummy's pass-happy offense. There's the new coordinator, Kevin Ramsey, 38-year-old native of East St. Louis. A quick pass to Brian Hagebrook. He managed to stay on his feet, and just for an additional yard or 2.
Pass complete to Brian Hagebrook.
Corey Robinson and Tim Wansley stopped the play for a very short gain. It'll be 3rd down and long.
You know, Kevin Ramsey has been kind of under a microscope here since he took over. Joe Kynes, the guy he replaced, Kynes is still on the staff, and they play a completely different style than they played last year. Last year it was more of a read defense, a react defense, more zone. This is an attacking, blitzing, aggressive style similar to Tennessee. They're playing it pretty well today in the ball game, but they've had some problems giving up a lot of big plays in the passing game prior coming into today.
5 wide receivers on 3rd and 22. We approach 2 minutes left in the half. Johnson flush from the pocket, throws incomplete. The nearest receiver was Rashae Caldwell, but the ball was way out of bounds, and Florida will punt with 2:01 left.
That was really a good defensive series for Georgia because they gave up the long scoring drive the series before. They got the big sack to put them back in negative yardage situations. It's a good job by the defense.
Allen Ryan to punt.
Allen Ryan to punt. Big rush. Ryan got it away. Fair catch called for and made by Michael Greer. A 40-yard punt. It's, for many people, Todd, it would have been a difficult situation, that coaching change, particularly when the former defensive coordinator, there is Joe Kynes, stays on the staff. He was a practitioner of the read and react defense, and Jim Donnan wanted to change the attacking style. That's why he brought Kevin Ramsey, who'd been the secondary coach the last 4 years at Tennessee, over. It was so nice to hear Kevin Ramsey talk about Joe Kynes. He said, Joe's forgotten more about football than I will ever know. And they work very well together, and I think that's really a tribute to a very impressive man we've known a long time, Joe Kynes.
Yeah, Kevin said neither of those guys are ego guys, and they've made it work.
And it's working very well. And as you would expect, Todd, the defense getting better as the season is going along, because as you change stylistically, that's difficult, and they do have a lot of young players. For those of you just tuning in, Florida, an impressive opening drive. Travis Taylor, the touchdown reception, and Georgia scored on just 3 plays. Jeff Chandler's 40-yard field goal put Florida on top again, but then Carter scored again to give Georgia its first lead. Robert Gillespie from 2 yards out put Florida back on top. They couldn't handle the snap after that touchdown. The conversion attempt failed, and Florida has a 2-point lead.
With Georgia, you got to be careful with the football here. Closing in on a minute left.
Terrence Edwards, a high school quarterback, looked like he wanted to throw, but didn't have anybody open. He's out of bounds to stop the clock with 1:03 left. Andre Davis and Eugene McCaslin chased Edwards out.
This is really a good decision. You don't see freshmen making this decision very often. You call this play, it's a trick play, it's a chance to be a hero. And Edwards did want to throw the football, but he didn't have anybody open, and he made a very good decision. Partly probably because he was a quarterback in high school, and he knows you can't force it if it's not there. Very good decision by Terrence Edwards to run the football there.
Now 3rd down and 7. I would expect if they don't convert, Florida would call a quick timeout here and force Georgia to punt into the breeze. Design run for Carter, and he is driven back by Alex Brown for a loss on the play of 2. Back to the 19-yard line, and a timeout is called by Florida with 51 seconds left in the half. Florida will get the ball back with the punting unit coming on for Georgia. 16-14, Gators. Back in Jacksonville, Alltel Stadium sold out, but with this unexpected rain, many of the fans unprepared. There are a number of empty seats. Jonathan Kilgo to punt. Florida should get good field position. The Gators with 1 timeout left. Kilgo, another low line drive punt, and a good one. Bouncing out of bounds at the 33-yard line of Florida. A 48-yard punt by the true freshman from Silver Creek, Georgia. Here's Michelle.
Well, Robert Gillespie has been taken into the locker room with the trainers. Dr. Pete Indelicato of the Florida medical staff told me they are x-raying his hand. He couldn't confirm which one, but he said he may have broken his hand and may not be able to return to this game. So we'll let you know when those x-rays have been completed and what his status is for the remainder of the game, Sean.
All right, Michelle, thank you. They're dealing with a lot of injuries, but thriving on offense nonetheless. Travis Taylor, their leading receiver at the start of the year, missed 3.5 ball games. Ernest Graham, their leading rusher, has been out in recent weeks with a deep thigh bruise. Now Gillespie injured. The handoff to Bo Carroll. Flag thrown in the secondary. Bo Carroll has a first down if the play stands out at the 45-yard line.
Probably going to be a holding on the outside, either on Alex Willis, the wide receiver, or the fullback, Rod Frazier. One of those 2 guys got caught with a hold. And you mentioned the injuries. 2 other ones that you don't hear about as much because they're not skill guys. Their starting center, Zach Zadelis, didn't play since the opener. And then Ryan Kalich, their most experienced offensive lineman, their left guard, got hurt in practice before the LSU game. And, you know, to his credit, the one thing that Steve never complains about injuries. You never hear him say, like when we talk with him, oh, we got this guy hurt and we're really banged up. He just says, hey, we got to have other guys step up and play. I mean, he really just goes about it and says it's another opportunity for a younger player to play.
Well, it's also a tribute to the job and recruiting that Steve and his staff do, that their second and third teamers a lot of times are more talented than the other guys' first teamers.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They come to Florida for a reason.
First down and 10. A walk-off from the spot of the infraction. 1 timeout left for Florida. Georgia has all 3. Johnson deep down the middle. Caught on the ricochet. Darrell Jackson inside the 30 and out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Tim Wansley had to go right through his hands and into the grasp of Jackson for a 41-yard completion.
How quickly it can change. This play goes from Georgia going into the halftime on a positive note with an interception right into the hands of Jackson, and now Florida in scoring territory. Ball was well played by Wansley, just couldn't make the catch. And credit Darrell Jackson for maintaining his focus and concentration on the football.
Tying Carlos Alvarez's record with 6 straight 100-yard receiving games. 5 catches, 131 yards for Jackson to the end zone, incomplete. Travis Taylor the target. Jeff Harris the coverage. A flag down at the line of scrimmage. There was movement along the line.
Looked like Georgia was offsides. I think that's what Doug Johnson thinks it was, why he took a shot at the end zone there. Tyrone Robertson, number 90, may have jumped early.
They're talking with the Bulldogs, though.
Yeah, they are. Maybe there was movement.
That was illegal procedure by the offense. Only 6 on the line of scrimmage. 5 yards from the previous spot. Still first down.
That's the penalty. There was no movement, but there were only 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. So one of the wide receivers not lined up properly. You got to have 7 on the line of scrimmage. Therefore, the 5-yard penalty against the Gators.
And they wind the clock. So the Gators need to get moving here. Out of the gun, Johnson, the fake, the clock at 2, 1. That's out of bounds. The clock stops very quickly. And that could be the difference in 3 points right here. They have time to get the field goal unit on. Boy, did that clock stop very quickly.
Doug Johnson's pretty fortunate because he was not making it a beeline to the sideline to kill the clock. He was trying to gain yardage. Watch the end of this play. Doug Johnson at the last minute goes out of bounds. The Gators very fortunate they get the line up for this Chandler attempt.
44-yard field goal from Jeff Chandler. And it's no good. Off to the right. And it's halftime. Just the second miss of the season for Jeff Chandler. Florida leads 16-14 in an entertaining and back and forth first half.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Florida leads, but Georgia has to feel great about where they're at. They've withstood the challenge in the first half. That's where Florida has killed peoples in the first half. They're right in the ball game.
Here's Michelle with Steve Spurrier.
All right, Sean, thanks very much. Well, a nice opening first drive. I mean, you guys scored with relative ease. It hasn't been quite the same since.
Yeah, it started running. Each defense picked it up. They ran the clock off there at the end. You notice that? You know, so what happens to the Gators? Hopefully we can get, a break on the, what happens here today a little bit. But our guys are playing hard. Georgia's playing hard. Pretty good game.
You happy with Doug?
Oh, yeah, he's playing pretty well. He's playing well.
Coach, thank you. Back up to you, Sean.
Yeah, it was interesting clock on both sides because after the penalty against Florida, they did wind the clock. They did start the clock from 20 down, and then Johnson ran out of bounds and seemed to catch a break when it stopped at 1. Plenty of intrigue as usual when these two teams get together. A 2-point lead for Florida at the break. Here's Tim Brando in New York. Georgia trails by 2 as the second half begins. The Bulldogs will get the ball first here in the second half as Jeff Chandler kicks off. And the Jacksonville native drives into the end zone. Brett Milligan thought about it, but takes a knee about 3 yards deep. Well, Todd, we talked at the top of the telecast about Jim Donnan's statement. As Quincy Carter goes, so go the Bulldogs. Well, they didn't have a great passing first half, just 4 out of 13 for 55 yards, but they're right in the game.
Yeah, they're right in the game, and so he can relax. He doesn't have to make every play. They've gotten 123 yards running the football. The option has been an effective weapon. He just needs to settle down and throw the football. Doug Johnson's throwing a wet football, too. His number's pretty good in that first half. Quincy needs to pick it up here in the second half.
He was more of a factor with his rushing as he ran for 51 yards. He pitches it to Patrick Pass, and he's close to a first down. He has the first down out of the 31-yard line. The play yielded 11 before Darrell Dixon took Pass out. And the first half statistics, the edge in total yardage by more than 100 yards for Florida.
One thing that's not on there that's very significant now, neither team a turnover in the first half. Whichever defense can force the ball to get dropped on the ground or an interception in these conditions is going to be very critical here in the second half.
Terrence Edwards, the wide receiver, lined up in the backfield and shifted out. Patrick Pass up the middle, stopped by Alex Brown at the 35-yard line. That's a gain of 4 for Patrick Pass. Yet another player in this game who played minor league baseball. Patrick spent 3 years in the Florida Marlins minor league system. He wasn't as high a draft choice as Carter and Johnson, both selected in the second round by their respective teams. Pass went in the 44th round out of Tucker High School in Tucker, Georgia.
It's good to see him running full speed. You know, we saw him limping on that ankle earlier in the ball game. Looked pretty good on those 2 carries.
66 yards for Patrick Pass. There's another record-setting running back in high school. He set the DeKalb County rushing record in Georgia. More than 5,000 rushing yards in high school. Quincy Carter wrapped up by Keith Kelsey.
That was a nice job of defending the option by Florida that time. That was an audible to the option by Quincy Carter. And defending the option is all about assignment football. Somebody has to take the pitch man. Somebody has to take the quarterback. Florida was right on at that time.
Georgia, an excellent second-half team in contrast to last year when, amazingly, with a very good team, the Bulldogs scored 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
All of last year.
They scored 24 in the fourth quarter in their comeback against Vanderbilt this year. So a big turnaround in that department.
Timeout called by Georgia. The good news is the rain seems to be dying down here in Jacksonville. And the play we're talking about is 3rd and 7 for Georgia. Just shy of their own 35. The pass batted down. Knocked down by Buck Gurley. And Georgia will punt.
Nice job by Buck Gurley. Here he is right here. He knows he can't get to Quincy Carter, but he goes right up in the air and gets his hands up. That's good job by Buck Gurley. Knows he can't get the sack, can still make a big play for the defense.
So here's Jonathan Kilgo for the 5th time today.
Jonathan Kilgo, the punt.
O'Carroll waiting at the 26-yard line. Low line drive kick right to Carroll at the 26. Out to the 37, 11-yard return after a punt of 40 by Kilgo. Tony Gilbert made the tackle for Georgia. Back in a moment.
Back in Jacksonville, Florida up 16-14, and Florida running back Robert Gillespie is out of this game. X-rays, in fact, show that he did break his right hand. So what about Ernest Graham? Florida said they'd only use him as a last resort, but we are told that he is coming back into this game for his first action since Kentucky, Sean.
Johnson trying to set up a screen, and it's a big loss. Rob Roberts stuffed by Richard Seymour.
Well, this is a play that Doug Johnson has to throw away. They're trying to set up the screen to Roberts, and Doug Johnson right now knows this play is not going anywhere. I mean, it's dead. Throw that ball away. Throw it right at the feet of Roberts. At least you come up 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and long yardage.
Arantes Graham hobbled off. He's been the Iron Man for the Georgia defense. Senior, 3rd year as a starter. He provides great leadership, one of those who helps this young defense get lined up correctly. 2nd and 20 after the loss of 10. Johnson throws near side. Darrell Jackson out of bounds. Well, as many of you undoubtedly noticed a moment ago, Michelle Tafoya's black ribbon. I want to thank Michelle and Todd for joining me today and wearing these black ribbons in memory of my friend and agent Robert Fraley, and the 5 others, including Payne Stewart, who were killed in the tragic plane crash on Monday. Robert Fraley had many connections to football, particularly the SEC, having grown up in Winchester, Tennessee, a childhood friend of Philip Fulmer, now the Tennessee coach. Doug Johnson on 3rd down and 10. Throws, and it is intercepted by Tim Wansley. Well, there's that first turnover you were talking about. It comes at the 44-yard line. They'll mark it at the 45. First interception of the year for Wansley.
Again, good pressure up the middle by Kendrell Bell. Came right into the face of the quarterback, and this ball is underthrown to Jackson. Wansley's watching it the whole way. Never got fooled. The ball was underthrown because of the pressure, and Wansley comes up with a turnover for Georgia.
Big play by the sophomore from Buford, Georgia. 17 interceptions now. Number 1 in the nation, the Georgia Bulldogs. Jasper Sanks to the 48-yard line. Eugene McCaslin made the tackle. just to complete our thought about Robert Fraley, who I know has many friends watching the telecast today. After growing up in Tennessee, went to Alabama, played for Bear Bryant, quarterback known as the Winchester Rifle, had injuries there that derailed his playing career, went to law school at the University of Florida, then into the representation business, had many prominent clients in football, including Bill Parcells, Bill Curry, Dan Reeves, Tom Coughlin, the coach here in Jacksonville. Thanks again for the 45. We could talk all day about Robert Fraley and not do justice to what a wonderful person he was. He is as nice a person as I have ever known, and I know I will never meet anybody nicer, because there just cannot be a human being better than Robert Fraley. And our condolences to his beautiful wife Dixie and their families, and the families of all those who died so tragically on Monday. Third down and 1. And a first down for Sanks. So Georgia trying to continue with the momentum after the turnover. Steady diet of Sanks and a first down to the Florida 44-yard line.
Jim Donnan challenging the Florida defense now, running between the tackles. And he told me this the other day. He says, you know, I don't know how good their run defense is. They're ranked #1 in the country. They've got the low number for, yards per game. But sacks in college football work against your rushing numbers, and so it doesn't work against your passing game. 28 sacks by Florida, that counts negative rushing yardage against the Florida defense. He thought they could run the football on the Gators.
Carter kicks and pays the price. No gain on the play, and boy did he get lit up. There is a flag down. Eugene McCaslin and Keith Kelsey combined to lower the boom on Carter, who was just a little bit slow to get up, but he is back on his feet. And there is a flag down thrown in the middle of the line of scrimmage.
Well, here recently now, Florida has really done a better job defending the option. They're accounting for the pitch, and they're attacking the quarterback. As you see, McCaslin lifts him up, and then it's Kelsey coming over the top. And you saw the head snap back of Quincy Carter. One of the risks of running the option is that your quarterback is going to get beat up. I mean, that just happens when you run the option. And Georgia can ill afford to lose him.
Holding call against Georgia. That'll move the ball back into Bulldog territory at the 46. And unlike Florida, which has a proven backup in Jesse Palmer, who would start on many teams, the backup quarterback for Georgia is LeBron Mitchell, who's seen plenty of action as a wideout this year.
Right now, I think because Florida has defended the option better, I think the next choice for Jim Donnan is to go play action off the option, fake the option, and throw the football down the field.
Hand off to Sanks. Back to the 50. And the clock runs down to 10 minutes remaining in the third quarter. It's still 16-14 Florida. That was the margin at halftime. Leading rusher remains Quincy Carter.
Patrick Pass with 66 yards. A bunch of that came on that first option that they ran in the first half. And
he had been the leading rusher. He's their leading rusher in terms of touchdowns scored. He scored both touchdowns on the ground today for the Bulldogs. He came out of high school the same year as Tim Couch, and Jim Donnan said they were clearly the two best high school quarterbacks in the country that year. Up for grabs and knocked down by Darrell Dixon. Javaris Johnson, the tight end, the target, but he was surrounded by Gators. And Alex Brown, we talked about how sometimes they dropped him into the coverage. He was about 30 yards downfield in pass coverage as Kelsey popped Carter.
Well, a big hit on Quincy Carter. Another guy down for Georgia. Jonas Jennings is down the left tackle. Nice play by Dixon coming over the top. We've seen the tight end go up in a crowd and make the catch. That's Jonas Jennings down the left tackle. Has played very well in the ball game today. The junior out of College Park, Georgia. Take a look again at the end of the play when Quincy threw.
That's very close to a personal foul call, leading with the helmet there.
Well, not just leading with it, but hitting up around the head of the opponent. Man, oh man.
Carter has his helmet off as they tend to Jennings, and he's walking over the sideline. Boy, is he taken some hits here in the last few moments.
The good news for Quincy Carter is, and I mean it's not good news because your starting left tackle is down, but because Jennings is down, Quincy Carter has a chance to kind of get the cobwebs out of his head, and he doesn't have to leave the field for one play because Jennings was the guy who went down.
That's LeBron Mitchell, the backup quarterback. He has attempted 7 passes this season. And here comes Carter. And as they help Jennings off the field, we'll give you time to ponder the Aflac trivia question. The largest margin of victory in the Georgia-Florida series. That's one fact they can agree on. They can't agree on how many times they've played, which sometimes happens in these heated rivalries. There's a game back in 1904 that was disputed. Florida doesn't claim it as a loss because they said they weren't an accredited institution and football program then.
Sean, Quincy just right before this getting in the huddle, he just walked over towards the Florida sidelines, pointed to his chest, said, "I'm all right. I'm not leaving the ball game." Let's see if he can deliver on this 3rd down and 16 play.
Fans on both sides making noise, but for the most part it's the Gator fans spurring on the defense on 3rd and long, and the throw on the run incomplete. Intended for Michael Greer, the junior from Athens, Georgia. Carter now 0 for his last 6 and 1 for his last 9 passing.
I'm really surprised, Sean, because I really like the way the guy throws the football. His mechanics, his fundamentals, his footwork. He's worked very hard at it. Todd Donnan was telling me before the game, I mean, he just really has worked at it. And he's a very accurate thrower, but today he has not been accurate. And
Kilgo to punt from midfield. Well, with their best player having a poor day, Georgia still very much in the game, just 2 points down during the midpoint of the 3rd quarter. Another indifferent punt by Kilgo out of bounds at the 22, a 28-yard kick. 9:07 remaining in the 3rd quarter in Jacksonville, where Florida leads by 2. Allen Ryan to punt. Georgia's blocked 3 punts and 2 field goals this year. Ryan right along the end line, just did get it off.
good kick.
A very good kick into the breeze. Caught by pass on the run at the 41. Trying to get outside. Good run back to the 30. So last time they started at the 34. Went reverse. Now they're 4 yards better. 36-yard punt and 11-yard return. Let's get an update on Notre Dame Navy from Tim.
The Fighting Irish, Sean, will get Tennessee next week. They're trailing Navy. They got a questionable spot on 4th and 10 earlier in the drive. Jarius Jackson hits Jay Johnson. He only has 3 catches all year, 2 of them for touchdowns. That for the win, 28-24. Will that take care of the Notre Dame alumni? I don't think so.
Wow.
Navy playing without their starting quarterback, too. Almost pulled a huge upset.
And Brian Broadwater out with a collarbone break. Well, the play calling again conservative with Carter's struggles throwing. Sanks into the middle for nothing.
Sean, Georgia has to capitalize this time. They had the turnover and didn't get anything. They had the short field, as you mentioned, off playing field position and defense. They went backwards their last drive. On this time with the short field, they have to be able to capitalize.
So much better this year in the 4th quarter. Last year, just 17 points the whole season. 71 this year, including 24 when they rallied 17-3 down to the 4th quarter in Nashville to beat Vanderbilt. Brown looked like he was being held as he went to rush Carter. There's no flag, and Quincy still does not throw a completion here in the 2nd half. We're a minute into the 4th quarter.
They tried to go max protection that time. They kept everybody into block and only sent 2 receivers out, and neither one was able to get open for Quincy Carter on that play.
I think everybody in the stadium saw Randy McMichael holding Alex Brown by the arm as Brown got past McMichael, with the exception of the officials. That's why Steve Spurrier was beefing. That was clear as night and day.
Anytime you see a guy spinning around like that, he's getting a little help.
Well, we consider this day or night right now.
This is night.
0 for his last 8, 1 for his last 11 for Carter. He throws short of a first down for the moment. They might have it now.
Great effort by McMichael, the tight end.
Randy McMichael, who just got away with the holding, lunged inside the 20, and it looks like he has the first down.
What a great second effort. He was clearly 4 or 5 yards short of the first down when he made the catch. Watch him fight forward, doesn't mess around, goes right up the field. Great second effort by Randy McMichael.
Redshirt freshman from Fort Valley, Georgia, with his 3rd catch of the day. He played a lot early in the season because they were so inexperienced at wide receiver. They elected to go with a lot of 2 tight end sets. Sanks down to the 16. Now they're certainly half Hines field goal range for a potential go-ahead kick. Andre Davis made the tackle.
You know, forget that. I mean, Georgia needs to score a touchdown. I mean, their defense has played great. They've given them the short field. Quincy Carter has to get them in the end zone on this drive. They need to score a touchdown here. Wouldn't be surprised to see Jim Donnan try to get Quincy out on the perimeter now. A little sprint out or a roll out.
Sanks. The ball squirts out. Benny Alexander runs it back to the 19. The Georgia sideline thinks Sanks was down or had been stopped. That's the reason for the perplexed look on Jim Donnan's face. And it certainly was very close, but they're going to rule that a fumble. The first turnover committed by Georgia.
Couldn't have come at a worse time for Jasper Sanks or the Georgia Bulldogs. They had momentum. They had things going their way. Their defense got him the football in great field position, and you see as he's going down, the ball comes out. Now, was his left knee down before the ball came out? That's where the question is. Wow, very close.
Keith Kelsey pulled it out. Benny Alexander recovered. Each team's committed 1 turnover. Big play in this football game. It looked like Georgia, at the very least, be in great position for a go-ahead field goal. Bo Carroll in a tailback out to the 23. The pickup of 3. Well, the turnovers have been a big factor in the rivalry in this decade. You mentioned that Florida's won 8 of 9. The only exception, the 97 victory for Georgia. But what you do with the turnovers is key.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the points off the turnovers is the key there. Georgia has not been able to capitalize on Florida's turnovers in this series, and they weren't able to earlier in the second half.
Bo Carroll takes the toss. First down and more out across the 35-yard line. Orontis Grant back in the game after the foot injury. Made the tackle.
Georgia coming with a lot of pressure from the open side of the field. This time they run toss sweep to the short side. Good job by Cooper Carlisle on his block. Good job by Aaron Kinney, the tight end, knocking Lucky out of the play. And good hard running by Bo Carroll.
He did a good job of protecting that ball as Grant tried to rip it out. Alex Willis in motion. Jeff Harris goes with him. Carroll through a huge hole into Georgia territory and down at the 47-yard line. Dragged down by Larry Mann. 17 yards on that run. Carroll is injured. He picked up 12 yards on the previous play.
Well, it looks like he went down funny. I thought there might have been a face mask call at the end of this play. Great blocking again on the left side. Good block right here as Carroll comes through. Now watch him kind of fall awkwardly to the ground. Larry Mann did have the face mask. Looked like his left ankle at the end of that play. Watch his left ankle kind of turn under. Yeah, and there was clearly a face mask on that penalty. It aided in the tackle. Should have been a 15-yard penalty against the Georgia Bulldogs.
And the Gator fans saw the same replays you saw on the replay board here at Alltel Stadium. No bad news for the Georgia defense. An abdominal muscle problem for Richard Seymour, their terrific defensive tackle. He's on his way to the dressing room. Without him in the game, Florida's had success running inside. Ernest Graham for the flag down. He goes down to the Georgia 42. That'll bring up 2nd down and 5. Jeff Harris made the tackle. Will be 2nd and 5, assuming the play stands. The Florida players indicating It's against Georgia. And it is a personal foul penalty. After playing mistake-free football, Georgia is starting to hurt itself with the big turnover on the Sanks fumble a moment ago. And now this penalty.
Well, they got away with one, Sean, on the face mask that was not called. This time, a big 15-yard personal foul penalty called against the Bulldogs at the end of the play.
That was a little iffy.
Yeah, well.
Wonder if it's in direct correlation. Everybody in the stadium saw the face mask that was missed a moment ago.
You're not suggesting the proverbial makeup call, are you?
Might be inferring. From the 27, 1st and 10, Florida. It's been a scoreless second half. Each team had the lead in the first half. Johnson going deep for Travis Taylor. Jamie Henderson had the coverage. Sunday on 60 Minutes. Good grief. Charlie Brown, Linus, Lucy, and Snoopy on 60 Minutes. When? Sunday. And Steve Croft draws a profile of the man who draws them. 60 Minutes, Sunday.
Sean, I got a little trivia question for you. It's a pretty good one. The Gators here moving offensively. Two teams in the nation average over 300 yards passing and over 170 yards rushing. Florida is one of those two. Who's the other team this year?
This year. Inside handoff. Ernest Graham lunging inside the 25. Down near the 23.
Over 300 passing, over 170 rushing.
Wow. Over 470 per game total offense. Can I get out my NCAA stats and look at them? No, I won't do that.
Take a look at the comparisons between Quincy Carter and Doug Johnson. Clearly, Doug Johnson having the better of it. Quincy Carter really struggling throwing the football today.
How about Oklahoma?
Oregon State. Dennis Erickson and the Beavers.
Having a great year under Dennis Erickson. Oklahoma now airing it out under the former assistant Bob Stoops from Florida. And there's an interception by Jeff Harris. So critical turnovers on consecutive possessions by these two teams. Travis Taylor has not had a good day coming back from the ankle injury. He juggled it. It popped up into the arms of Jeff Harris, the senior, back in his hometown of Jacksonville, Florida, with a big interception.
This ball went right through Travis Taylor's hands. He didn't get his head around till late, and the ball kind of snuck up on him, surprised him. And again, he's rusty. He hasn't been playing much. This is a timing-oriented pass offense. He was clearly not on the same page with Doug Johnson, and Jeff Harris was there to collect the football. And they did that defensively without their best player, Richard Seymour. Another huge play or stand by the Georgia defense.
Well, exchange of turnovers. The one factor to change of field position, which gets worse for Georgia as Alex Brown buried Quincy Carter back at the 10.
Alex Brown beat George Foster a couple plays ago. This time he went over the other freshman, John Stinchcomb, the right tackle. Coming right from here, John Stinchcomb, no match for the quickness and the speed of Alex Brown. I talked to Alex Brown on Tuesday, and he said, I've got to get back to getting my start, getting off the football. I got to find a way to anticipate the snap count. He must have found something now with Quincy Carter's rhythm at the line of scrimmage, because he's too fast off the ball for the Georgia tackle.
Under 10 minutes remaining. Second down, 19. Play clock down to 2. Carter steps up, airs it deep, and just a little bit too long for Terrence Edwards, who was breaking free from the coverage of Benny Alexander.
One-man pass route, Sean. I mean, they're so concerned right now with the pressure that Alex Brown is creating. They kept a tight end in there to help the left tackle that time. It was a one-man route trying to hit the home run with Terrence Edwards. Credit the Florida defense. They got beat early in the game by some option, but they have really settled into this football game, and they have not given Quincy Carter anything offensively, running or throwing the football.
Tough situation for a quarterback who has really struggled with his accuracy today. 3rd and 19. He zips one. Is that a catch? No. It bounced in to Jermaine Phillips. Would have been short of the first down anyway, but would have been better field position for the punt.
You know, if you would have told Jim Donnan, Jim, you're going to be able to run the football, the option's going to be effective, Jasper Sank's going to run, Patrick Pass is going to run, he would have been thrilled, saying, well, I know Quincy's going to make plays throwing the football. We should be all right. That's not happened for Georgia today. They've run the football, but they haven't been able to do anything throwing it.
Wobbly snap back to Kilgo. That was a wounded duck snap, and his short punt comes down at the 47 of O'Carroll. And he's down at the 43-yard line. A 36-yard punt and a 4-yard return. J.R. Jenkins. First down and punt coverage for Georgia. 9:16 remaining. Good field position for Florida with a 2-point lead.
The Home Depot College Football on CBS is sponsored by Web TV, Fidelity Investments, the United States Army Reserve, and by Volkswagen.
Our telecast today produced by Craig Silver, directed by Bob Fishman. They are leading our talented group of production and technical staff, doing a great job, particularly given the elements here today in Jacksonville. The rain has tapered off to a very light drizzle now. And on first down, Graham breaks through the tackle of Kendrell Bell and goes down at the 32-yard line, perhaps the 33, close to a first down. Nice run by Graham. They hit him behind the line of scrimmage, but Kendrell Bell couldn't make the tackle.
And this is the different dimension that Ernest Graham brings to your running game. His low center of gravity, very strong lower body, and the ability to break tackles. Bo Carroll doesn't bring that. He has great speed and acceleration. Graham, a more punishing physical runner. Shoe or no shoe, great run for Ernest Graham.
Well, his foot's going to be a little soggy right now.
Yeah.
Both quarterbacks have struggled here in the second half. Quincy Carter 1 for 8 for 10 yards. Doug Johnson 1 for 8 for no yards passing and 2 interceptions in this half, although you certainly can't fault him for the last interception. Graham run yields a first down after the measurement. And the comparison, these quarterbacks on display before the largest crowd ever at Alltel Stadium, 84,397. They bring in extra bleachers just for this game. Some of the seats are not here when the Jacksonville Jaguars play. The largest crowd ever to see the game here in Jacksonville. On first and 10, they stay on the ground, this time with Bo Carroll. He keeps his shoes on and goes to the 30-yard line. There are the auxiliary seats in the end zone to our right, with the St. Johns River in the background. They continue to play here year after year. They did play 2 years on the respective campuses, one time in Athens, one time in Gainesville in the middle of this decade, because Alltel Stadium, formerly the Gator Bowl, is being renovated for the arrival of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And they're talking still, there's debate whether they should move it back to campus. But boy, this is a great environment. This is a special kind of game. Very unique football environment.
Johnson just threw a shoe to the sideline. Bo Carroll through a big hole. He can fly. Touchdown!
Still not in the ball game, and watch Kendrell Bell take himself away from the play, and as he tries to react, he's picked off by the guard right there. Kendrell Bell overran the play slightly, and then the speed of Bo Carroll did the rest.
They needed just 3 plays with the excellent field position. Bo Carroll now up to 113 yards rushing, and the Chandler extra point has given the Gators a 9-point lead. 23-14 with 7:43 left. Bo Carroll's touchdown has given Florida some breathing room. Now it would take 2 scores for Georgia to overtake the Gators. Squib kick from Jeff Chandler, taken on the bounces by Patrick Pass. Flag thrown out near the 40-yard line as Pass failed to reach the 20. Lito Shepard chopped him down. There's a flag a long way from where the tackle was made. And from bad to worse, the news for the Bulldogs. Pass was back for that kickoff with Brett Milliken, who is our Rigid Tools Scholar Athlete of the game. Rigid Tools commitment to the investment in our future is shown today by donating $1,000 to the University of Georgia's General Scholarship Fund. Not only is Milliken an excellent student, but the junior from Lilburn, Georgia, is also a 2-time member of the SEC Good Works team for his outstanding service in the community and on his campus. A very nice young man and excellent student. We congratulate him.
Got a long touchdown pass last week in their win against Kentucky.
Quincy Carter struggled throughout. Needs to find something here. Carries out to the 10. Just across the line of scrimmage. Teddy Sims, the junior from Belgrade, Florida, tripped him up.
And again, the Florida defense is just, they've tightened down the screws. You know, I mean, you think that they wanted to make Georgia one-dimensional, only being able to throw the football. Well, they made them one-dimensional, being the running game has been the only thing that's been effective for Georgia. And they have really been able to come after Quincy Carter here now.
And in fairness to Quincy, as we talked about earlier, not a lot of other playmakers in the skill positions on this offense. Brown has another sack. A ball might have come loose. It did. Florida has the football at the 3-yard line. Buck Gurley recovered the fumble created by the hit by Alex Brown.
Reminiscent of the Tennessee game, Alex Brown is in a groove. He's hobbling off now, but he has found something in the rhythm of the snap count, and he is beating everybody to the punch, whether it's the left tackle or the right tackle. That time it was Stinchcomb again, the right tackle. He's getting off the ball quick, anticipating the count, and getting to the quarterback. And Quincy Carter is not an easy guy to sack unless you can get to him while he's still dropping back, and that's what Alex Brown has done here in the second half.
Brown being tended to on the sideline. 1st and goal, Florida. Perhaps a chance to put it away. Already up by 9. Bo Carroll, the one bag. Johnson with the option look, kicks it and scores himself.
Well, we've seen Doug Johnson run this same kind of play twice. He got 4th and 1 on it. Now he gets a touchdown. Everybody talked about Georgia's option. This isn't really an option, but it's kind of an outside quarterback sneak. And Steve Spurrier knew he had it. Go away from the middle linebacker. Jim Donnan watching this game get away from him now.
Chandler adds the extra point. Well, we talked for a while about how the game was going as Donnan would have wanted it, but all of a sudden the crucial mistakes popped into the equation. Tonight on CBS. It was a very tight game. Has been broken open by Florida with plenty of help from the Georgia Bulldogs. 2 critical fumbles by Georgia here in the second half, the difference in the game. And now Jeff Chandler to kick off. As soon as he puts the ball back on the tee. And the ball is blown off again. Breeze has been a factor throughout. It started raining early on. After a very pleasant morning and early afternoon here in Jacksonville. Tough day for the cameras. Our technicians doing a great job keeping most of the equipment up and running all day. Darrell Dixon in to hold the ball now for Chandler. A high short kickoff that can be dangerous. That's free on the ground. And what's the call? Out of bounds, I believe. The kickoff at the 20. Brett Milliken went diving after it. We told you a moment ago how smart he is as the rigid tool scholar athlete of the game. He knew the situation. He got on it quickly, and that ball did go out of bounds.
I don't think this was intentionally done by Chandler. Just with the holder there, lost a little bit of the velocity of the distance on the kick, and Georgia very fortunate that Milligan made a heads-up play. They were not in position to recover that football.
Hasn't been any better. In fact, it's been a little bit worse for Quincy Carter here in the second half. The option effective early, not yielding as much of late. That's out to the 26. And we check in with Tim Brando.
Sean, Todd's alma mater keeps winning games, the grunt games that most people have problems with. Rashard Casey made the big play here to Tony Stewart to break it open against the Illini. They still have to play Michigan and at Michigan State. But wouldn't you agree, Todd, this is the year of dominant programs not playing dominant football?
Yeah, I think that's right, Tim. You know, Florida State certainly didn't look dominant in their last time out against Clemson. It seems like teams kind of play down a little bit to the level of their competition, and when they have to rise up and play well, they do that. But there has not been clearly a dominant team in college football this year.
Keith Kelsey has scored it off. He's had a good ball game with 8 tackles. In his first year as a starter as a senior, he was a backup to that great core they had in recent years with Peterson and Rutledge and Kearse. They're all drafted in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Patrick Pass has a first down out to the 32-yard line. Well, it was 16-14 Florida early here in the 4th quarter. Georgia was winning the battle of field position deep into Florida territory, certainly in go-ahead field goal range, when Jasper Sanks committed the first turnover of the ball game for the Bulldogs, and the game turned on that play. The second fumble also led directly to a score.
No turnovers by either team in the first half, and clearly turnovers the story here in the second half.
And the pass is caught by Thad Parker for another first down out across the 43-yard line. It was also big, I think, Todd, when Jonas Jennings went out, because even though Alex Brown hasn't always been lined up across from Jennings' replacement, he has been much more of a factor no matter where he's been since Jennings went out.
And in the first half, they dropped Alex Brown just as many times as they rushed him. But in the second half, John Hoke made a decision. We're going to make our best pass rusher make plays rushing the passer. We're not going to drop him anymore. And Alex Brown has had a field day here in the second half.
Robert Arnaud has come in at running back, number 30. Stays in the block for Carter. He throws an interception to Alex Brown. Well, when Alex shines, he really shines. He did it against Tennessee, then you didn't notice him very much in recent weeks, and here he is again, front and center.
Well, this was a gift from Quincy Carter. Quincy was frustrated. It's been a frustrating day for him. And this is Alex right here rushing the passer. He's actually blocked pretty well by Arnaud. But then Quincy, just frustrated, just threw the ball right into the traffic, right into the stomach of Alex Brown.
You wonder where he was trying to go with that ball.
He didn't like what he saw downfield. And again, you throw it away, you got to throw it away where nobody can catch it. Not right there.
Chuck Marks in now at tailback. The freshman, Georgia native from Albany, Georgia, carries down to the 31. And the clock will go under 5 minutes remaining. Georgia's 2 timeouts left. CBS Sports Line stat of the game, the quarterback comparison, and obviously Johnson's had a much better day.
Yeah, much better. Quincy Carter couldn't do much at all, and Doug Johnson only threw the ball 8 times in the second half. Florida really grounded out running the football in the second half.
Carter Spurrier came into today's game completing 58% of his passes. Here's Marks again. Redshirt freshman. He had knee surgery last year. He played in the Georgia-Florida High School All-Star game, which is a big event in this part of the country. Some of the top prospects in the country play in that game. He had a feeling about it. He said, maybe I shouldn't play. There's really nothing to gain. His mother told him, yeah, go ahead and play. And one of the rare times, perhaps, that the parental advice was not best.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, those things, you hate to see that happen. I mean, it does from time to time. I'm involved in a big all-star game up in Ohio, between Ohio and Pennsylvania, and that's why sometimes you see coaches, they don't want kids playing in those all-star games, but you want to try to get the most marquee players you can, but every now and then something like that happens.
So here comes Marks again. He stays in bounds and goes down at the 23-yard line in the arms of Orontis Grant. For complete college football coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com. And for the information you need on the NFL, tune in tomorrow for the NFL Today with Jim Nantz, Craig James, Randy Cross, Jerry Glanville, plus Marcus Allen visits Junior Seau. Jerry's going to provide us his 13 scariest things about the NFL. It's appropriate given the day. It's all coming up at noon Eastern tomorrow on the NFL Today, and then with the scores and highlights, join the gentleman for the NASDAQ halftime report.
I'd say Jerry racing on a racetrack, one of his race cars probably be on that list somewhere. Scariest in the NFL,
in the
scariest
NFL,
things,
yes.
period.
Well, they're having a tough time for some reason getting the action restarted.
You know, there was so much made this week about the quarterback situation at Florida, and Doug Johnson, would he get pulled today by Steve Spurrier in favor of Jesse Palmer? I think Steve has to be pretty pleased with the way Doug has played today. I mean, he made some good throws. The one interception he underthrew was a bad throw. The other one really more the result of Travis Taylor not being able to make the catch. He's run the offense. He's made good decisions. And again, when you play quarterback at Florida, you got to be ready to get coached every single day, every snap.
Wonder why the clock wasn't running here in the previous play. The official on the near sideline indicated that Marks was in bounds and the clock should run, but then they stopped it. Marks again. Well, Georgia's program has definitely made dramatic strides under Jim Donnan. Last two seasons, 10-2 and 9-3. And you know, they've proven really they consistently now beat everybody else in the SEC except Florida and Tennessee, and that'll be the next step to jump up into that group and be mentioned in the same sentence. You know, and it's interesting. People keep asking, when are you going to beat them? When are you going to be, you know, compete among the elite? And he said, you know, in order to do that, you've got to be a top 5 team. And that's true. The last couple years, if you want to beat Florida and Tennessee, you better be a top 5 caliber team. And Georgia's not quite there yet. They're getting better. They've got a lot of young talents, but they're not a top 5 team. And Florida and Tennessee are. Mark stopped at the 25-yard line. That'll bring up 4th down.
Florida, you know, this was their tough game. I mean, left on their schedule in the SEC now, Vanderbilt and South Carolina before their big game against Florida State. But in terms of getting back to Atlanta and playing for the SEC championship, which Steve Spurrier loves to do and has not been there for 2 years, the road looks a lot better right now.
They took the play clock all the way down, and then Florida called a timeout with 1:54 left. We're back in Jacksonville, premiering Monday on CBS. There's a whole new choice in the morning. And Brian Gubble returns to morning television with Jane Clayson on the early show. And as part of the premiere, don't miss Bryant and the NFL Today's Jim Nantz as they talk with Kurt Warner of the St. Louis Rams. A new way to start your day, the early show. Monday on CBS. The ball thrown into the ground by Johnson on 4th down. And Georgia takes over on downs with 1:49 left. And a little smack talking now. And that continues. The officials have to step in. Now this will be a crucial win for Florida. If they can avoid a hiccup in conference, and Todd just mentioned the remaining schedule. They will go to Atlanta, play in the SEC championship game against the winner of the West. A conceded victory to Florida. They go to 5-1. Tennessee was hoping for some help today from Georgia. Now they'll need help that is less likely to come from the remaining conference opponents on Florida's schedule. Milliken, the ball carrier, and he was drilled by Marquand Manuel. Andre Davis combining on that big hit as well. Loss of 5 on the play. And on the broader picture too, Todd, Florida, one of those teams with 1 loss, very much a factor in the national championship picture, particularly with that opportunity remaining on their schedule against Florida State in Gainesville in November.
And I think at this point, I think Florida, if they stay healthy from this point on out, I think they'll beat Florida State in Gainesville. I think they're
certainly in recent weeks, Florida State has not been as impressive. LeBron Mitchell, the quarterback. A tough day over for Quincy Carter. Brett Milliken stopped again for no gain. Alex Brown reemerging as a major force on the Florida defense today.
Yeah, he really picked it up in the second half, and when Jonas Jennings went out, he really got keyed in on the pass rush and was a nightmare for Quincy Carter, causing a fumble here that set up the touchdown, and then the icing on the cake, the interception. And it was very similar to the Tennessee game. Interceptions, sacks, pressures. Alex Brown came to play today.
3rd and 14. Mitchell, the quarterback draw. That will likely be the final play of the game. They carry Steve Spurrier off the field as Florida wins another 9 out of 10 now over Georgia in this rivalry that means so much to the coach. Here's Michelle with the winning coach.
Coach, congratulations, back in the SEC title game. And you know,
no, we're not back yet, Michelle.
Well,
we got to beat Vanderbilt in South Carolina.
But as well as your offense played, I mean, your defense just came up huge.
Oh, our defense was the story of the game second half. We sputtered around offensively, went backwards. Fortunately, we could run the ball. Bo Carroll was sensational. Alex Brown had a super game. So our defense and running the ball won the game.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
All right, thanks.
Back to you, Sean.
Florida winner. Back in a moment.